So the next task at hand is to turn this linked two-dimensional drawing into a 3D building model, starting with the basic building blocks, which would be walls. Now, when it comes to walls, it's under the building menu. If you click on the walls, you see that there are many different wall styles with multiple layers, even multiple presets, but we are going to talk about that at a later stage. For now, we are satisfied with working with a conceptual one-layered wall. With escape, you can terminate any command, by the way. So how do we turn these lines into walls? Now, it's a tricky task because we see that there are many different wall thickness values. So how do we get them all right? For this, we have a tool under the wall menu. It's called Walls on DWG Drawing. What you do is that you select the command and you click on the two ending points of the wall and click on the opposite face of the wall. And this way the software automatically finds the thickness and the length of the wall. Let's proceed with the other external walls and see how do we do that. Click on one of the ending points, close to the end actually. Go to the other ending point of the wall and click on the opposite face. And that way the software starts building up bit by bit the external walls. Let's proceed. I always like to zoom in so that way I can get the actual nodes like this. Now, you don't have to worry about the missing wall connections that you see over here because later on we can manage that. Not a problem. So click on the opposite face as well. Now, you notice I'm going clockwise. You can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise. The point is that you always sort of be consistent with this one. So don't try to go all over the place. Find one direction and go in a circle. Now, click, click, click. I just only have a few walls missing. Click here, click there. And the drawing is now done as far as the external walls are concerned. Let's hit escape to terminate this command and go back to optimal zoom with a double scroll hit. Now I see that there are several problems with the wall connections. Now this is something you can amend using the T and L connections, which are under the quick access toolbar. Let's go with the L connection. How it works: select the command, zoom in on the problematic part of your drawing, click on one wall that you want to connect and click on the other wall you want to connect it into, like so. So now the connection is amended and let's go all the way. Notice that when you are completing the same workshop, you might have these connections done correctly already, in which case, well done. But sometimes I have to amend my drawings like that. Okay, so now the external walls are done, but what happens with the internal ones? Next task is to actually work on the partition walls. The reason I'm discussing this separately is because this is when the wall on DWG feature really shows its power, because you don't have to care about the wall thicknesses. You just have to do the same thing as we did before and the software would automatically recognize the thickness values, and based on that it's going to give you the wall to the exact thickness and the exact length. Now, if I make any mistakes with the connections, that's alright. There's one mistake right over there, which I'm going to later on amend. And just click on the ending points and the thickness, and then the software would give you exactly what you need. Now, there's going to be one special case over here. I'm making a mistake here intentionally, so later on I can show you how to amend that, how to correct that. So click, click, click. Now, I think I have all the walls done correctly, but there are two issues. One is with the T connection over here. There's the connection missing. So just like the way I did this before with the L connection, this time I'm going to use the T connection. The way it works, I have to select the wall I want to connect into something, and I select the wall into which I want to connect. I see there's a mistake here as well, so I'm just going to do it like that, and then yes, they are already connected. So one other mistake I have is this wall over here. If I click on it, I see that it doesn't reach the actual drawing, so it finishes before it should. So how you can amend that? Click on the wall and then you see the nodes, the markers appearing, and clicking on this node over here, you can have access to this tool which we call change length. And if you click on that, you can either use a numerical value to overextend the wall, or you can just drag the mouse and snap to the point where it should go. Okay, neat. I think I have the whole drawing now. Let's go back to optimal zoom. But the issue here is that all the walls are having these brownish and white colors. This is because based on the presets of this wall, it has an exterior and an interior covering, which we want to make uniform. We want all the walls to be white on the inside and outside. How do we do that? It's very simple. You just have to select the whole drawing like so, and then you see that all the walls are selected. What is the reason why the DWG underlay is not selected? It's because it's a linked drawing. If you import it, then it's going to be selected as well. But this time we only have the walls. So what I do, I go to the properties and I say, instead of trying to find the right material, I'm just going to say same material on both sides, and then the software colors everything white. Let's stop here for a second to discuss layers a bit. Now, you might know that everything you do in ARCHLine is going to be put onto a layer by default. If you click on any of the walls, you see that it's going to be on a wall, load-bearing wall layer. Similarly, if you click on any other elements, you see which layers they belong to. But here's an issue with our drawing right now. Walls are, of course, these ones are on the load-bearing wall layers, but if I select any partition walls, they also belong to the load-bearing wall layer. Now, this is because when you create a wall, you define a style for it, and the partition wall simply inherited the style settings, and now it's on the load-bearing wall layer. But this you can change. If you have any of the elements selected, you go to the layer settings, you can just find the layer onto which you want to position your element and click on that layer. And from now on, if I click on the wall, you see that it's on the, let me just make the property grid a bit larger, it's on the partition wall layer. Okay, that's fine. But what happens if you want to change the layer setting of more than one walls? What happens if you want to have all these partition walls put onto the partition wall layer? Now, of course, you can go around and click on them, or you can use a selection rectangle, but sometimes your drawing is a bit too dense for that. And for this, we are going to use filters, rule-based filters. You can find them down here under the settings, and if you go to filter, you see that here you can filter the elements of your drawing down to the smallest particles. Now, here's what we do. First of all, we set up that the discipline is going to be an architectural elements one, and I want to filter for walls. And the common element based on which I'm going to filter them is going to be their thickness, because the only thing I know about these walls is that they are thinner than the load-bearing walls. Now, under the name of the property to which I want to filter, I'm going to use total thickness, and I add it as a searching criteria, and I have to set up what the operative would be. I'm going to say that the thickness should be not more than 150 millimeters. And let's just say OK. And now what happens? All the partition walls which are thinner than, or not thicker than 150 millimeters, namely this a few walls and this one and that one, are now selected. So what I do, I can go to now the layer settings and find the layer setting that I want. So now if I select any of the other walls, I see that they are on the partition walls. Simple as that.